Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rebecca and this video is a little bit of a get ready with me mixed with a get to know me. I have officially been on YouTube for a full year. I can't believe I stuck with it. When I first started, I think my first video still only has like 300 or 400 views on it, and I really didn't know what kind of content I was gonna make. I knew I liked plus size fashion, of course, but really I started YouTube because I liked watching YouTube and felt very connected to the girls I was watching, and wanted it as a kind of like creative outlet for myself to push myself. I used to blog, but stopped it for a long time, and so I was excited last year to get started again. And so now that I've been in it for a year, I have a lot of new people who are watching my channel who never knew me previously. I even have some people who used to read my blog, so awesome. I'm glad I haven't annoyed you yet. But I figured, like, let's do a get to know me, because I've dropped little, you know, bits of information throughout all of my videos, but there are still some questions you guys had. So I asked on Instagram and I asked on my community page here on YouTube what questions you have. So I'm gonna go through some of them while I get ready today. Thank you so much if you have subscribed to my channel in this past year. I really appreciate your support. This has been really fun and just something that gives me purpose and creativity, and I've gotten way more motivation to meet more people in person, and so I've made better friendships over this past year, and so it's just all in all brought me a lot of positivity. So I'm gonna start with moisturizing. I recently did like the Curology trial, and I stopped using all the products because I was starting to break out on my forehead, which is really unusual for me, but I like this moisturizer underneath my makeup, but they kind of just billed me because I guess I went past my free trial. And I went ahead and pressed them to discontinue because I haven't used all the products up that they've already sent me just for the trial purposes. But I'm gonna try it again. So even though I was breaking out on my forehead from it, I really only did it for like a week. And you know, you really need to give things more than a week to see if they're gonna work. So we'll try that again. If you're interested in an update, I'll try to remember to do it. Okay, so I'm gonna start with, I think some questions from YouTube. All right, I'm gonna start with the softball questions, really easy to answer. The first question was how old I am. I am 31. I'm very curious to hear what you guys thought I was. I recently had some of the students I work with ask me how old I was, and I'm like, you tell me, I'm curious what you think. And they guessed mid to lower 30s, so pretty good. You know, they could have guessed mid 20s. I'm just kidding. I'm very much like a 30-year-old, I feel like, and I am enjoying my 30s so far. I'm gonna go in with my Foera foundation in the color Nude. All right, so the next question is from Sarah As You Wish. She says, I'd love to hear more about your family and upbringing. Also, if you've been plus size most of your life and how you've grown to be more comfortable in your skin. Love your videos. So thank you, Sarah, and I do see your comments pretty often, so I really appreciate the support. So to answer, like, have I been plus size most of my life? Yes. I remember one time being in a doctor's office and my mom was talking to the doctor about my weight, because as one does in a doctor's office, and she had made the comment that I was always her biggest child. And I remember that like sticking out because all of my siblings were bigger people, and so I guess I never really like saw myself as the biggest of my siblings. But once she said it, I understood it, because I was bigger from the get-go. I have a sister who's 3 years older than me, and if you look at pictures from when I was like 5 and she's 8, I'm thicker than her. And I've always been big. I remember being in probably 5th or 6th grade and not being able to fit into kids clothing. I had to shop at actually like the Limited instead of the Limited 2, and thank God it was like the 90s and everything was like stretchy materials because I survived it. Yeah, so I had always been bigger, and I from what I remember, I've always been like not just bigger, but like the biggest. In fact, I can only think of one kid at my high school who may have either been bigger or as big of me. It was a guy, and he was a lot taller too, so hard to say, but I've always been bigger, and I've always been big all over. So like my sister, Katie, she carries most of her weight in her like midsection, and she didn't really get thicker there until maybe high school. So she has a part of her life where she remembers like feeling quote unquote normal size, aka not feeling her body was different than her peers, whereas I never had, you know, I never felt like my body was like my peers' bodies. And so sometimes I actually think, for me, not for everybody, for me it was a blessing, because she struggled more with losing, fitting into the norm more than I did, because I never fit the norm. As far as upbringing, I have 3 siblings. My oldest sibling is 11 years older than me. Yeah. I always forget if it's 11 or 9. That's so sad. 11 years older than me. Okay, that was really sad of me. And so she was already off to like college by the time I, you know, became a competent person. But I do remember her kind of taking me out and doing things with me when I was a kid. And then I had my other sister who was older than me, Katie, who's 3 years older, and I was her sidekick. I wanted to follow everything about her. One of like the trends in my life when I was young was that I attached myself to people who had bigger personalities than me and kind of just like hid behind them. Like I was the bestie, you know? And Katie was that person. Katie has a fiery personality. She was very creative, and so as kids we're playing Barbies. Like she had all these storylines. She just knew more about like school, so I could play school with her. She would write plays, and I was just down for whatever she wanted to do. And then some of my favorite like stories to show this is that Katie had more like neighborhood friends than me, because there just wasn't a lot of kids my age until a little bit later in my life, in my neighborhood. And I always wanted to, like, if she had a friend spending the night, I wanted to spend the night with them in the basement. And I would literally give her my new Barbie. It's like to be able to do, like, I will give you my new Barbie. I will give you this new outfit I just got for my Barbie if I can stay the night with you guys. And she took it, okay? And I'm still a little bit bitter about losing all my good Barbies. And so majorly, I was her sidekick. I was her little shadow. I went into things that she did, like she did color guard in high school, and I followed into that. So I really looked up to her. She had a mouth that could get her in trouble, and I never went that far, but every once in a while now I can, like, I'll say something really sassy, and she's like, I learned it from the best, Katie. I learned it from you. Can't even say anything. You're the one that taught me this. And we're still best friends. We're very close. Our relationship has changed a little bit. Katie got married really young. Katie got married like she was 20. So in certain ways we're very different from each other, because Katie always wanted like the house life, being a wife, being a mother, and I have not, and or at least I put it very low priority. But Katie struggled with infertility, and she just recently had a child last year. Her child is now like 14 months, 15 months. So it's a new stage of life for her. Her son is the cutest. I love having multiple nieces and nephews now. Well, I have one niece, multiple nephews. And so we're in a different stage of life. You know, like I used to be able to get Katie to come over to my apartment, help me clean, help me organize. Well, Katie's tired now because Katie's got a kid. So it's a lot more of like me going to visit Katie, which is fine. And we're really enjoying this stage of our relationship. And her husband, I've known him since I was like 14, so he feels like a legitimate brother to me. I also have a younger brother. He is also married. All of my siblings are married except for me, and he has 2 kids now, and we were only 18 months apart, so we really had like lockstep in terms of being in the same school with each other and so on. And he was always the mischievous, funny one, could get away with anything because he would make you laugh right afterwards. I'm gonna go in with this palette. This is the Park Avenue Princess contour kit. I don't like showing you guys mirrors. Contour kit. So I have a lot of siblings and they're all married. So I have sibling-in-laws, and now I have a niece and 2 nephews. And my parents are still together. My parents are from the north. They're from Michigan. So even though I lived in North Carolina my entire life, my parents moved here in the 70s, and I think because of that, they grew close to one another as a family. Of the people here, my mom's family moved down, my mom's immediate family moved down, and then also like there's certain things that the people I grew up with had a lot more like Southern upbringing than I did, and so I am definitely Southern in the fact that I am from North Carolina and it is in my roots, and there's part of it, I'm sure you can hear it in my accent, but I also did not have like a super Southern upbringing. I was raised Catholic, and there was a lot of like Italians and Irish people at the church, and I remember being in 6th grade and someone telling me I was going to go to hell because I was Catholic, and that is simply because around here there just wasn't a lot of Catholics. You know, like it was very much everyone here was Protestant, and so that was a little weird. But yeah, so my family life was good. I had a good upbringing, and I have been plus size my entire life. Okay. Whoop. Let me turn off the volume here. Vera asked, how are your 2019 New Year's goals going? I can't remember if I made any, but if I made them, they're gone. Whew, gone. Don't remember them. I don't set a lot of goals. I maybe should, but honestly, I'm 31. If I don't set goals at this point, will I really? Am I still dating the same guy? So I think like in my old dating video, I had said that I was like, I basically like date-ish, hang out with a guy friend. I called him Rob. Yes, me and him still see each other. We're still friends only. Friends only. So I still have that relationship going, but we're trying to figure it out because I think both of us are interested in dating other people. Here I am saying dating. And seeing other people, and we know that our friendship is, let's just say like, not fully platonic. And so we're trying to see how that goes. But right now we're just focused on being really good friends to each other. And that's where that's at. We recently went to the fair, which was really fun. And for instance, like I'll see him tomorrow. He's gonna come over and hang out for a little bit. Tomorrow is my day before I go back to work, so I really need to like do laundry and stuff, so I think we'll just probably chat, and maybe I'll make him go to the grocery store and carry all my heavy things up. Yep, that sounds like a good idea. Okay, she also asked thoughts on body positivity and weight loss, which is like a big one. That's a big one. My thoughts on this have changed over and over and over and over and over again. And I think that ultimately I kind of land where people just need to do what they need to do for their body and for their happiness. And I think though there is a difference between doing those things and then promoting it for profit. And that's where I think it gets a little scary, is when you see people who use body positivity, weight loss for profit. And it's so easy because it's so valued in our society to lose weight. I certainly have gained weight over the past year, and I can see the difference in terms of what recognition I can get at different sizes. And let's just put it this way, I just don't know that if I were losing weight, I would feel the need to talk a lot about it, because there's so many people out there already doing it. I don't know that I need to reinforce it. There's already a ton of capital around losing weight, and I just don't think I need to add to that conversation at all. There's plenty out there already doing it. Now, do I think like someone is like hates their body if they've lost weight? No, because I've seen that for myself that it's not true. And Do I think people can lose weight with with honor, in terms of like not making everything like, oh, fat people are horrible because now they've lost weight? Yes, I do. And I champion people who are able to have their body change, and our body changes for lots of reasons, sometimes unintentionally, without making people feel horrible that their body has either gotten bigger or not changed. And so I think that's important. Like, our bodies are our bodies. They change, they move. We change, we move. I will never value my smaller body more than my bigger body, but I do know that people having smaller bodies is easier in the world because the world is made for smaller bodies. Oh, so Carmen says, you have a great channel, so here's to many more years. Thank you so much. I would like to know if you want to have children or possibly get married in the future. I find this hard to answer without having the guy in the picture. I am open to changing my thoughts on that, but I would have to meet a very good person to want to do that. Sometimes I look at things that I've done in my life and I'm like, have I always been on the trajectory to just be like a single woman? Because, okay, did you guys ever play the game Sims? I would play the game Sims, can't remember if I've already told you this, and I would literally make all my Sims a single woman with a child. I didn't have time to deal with the man, didn't have time to keep up the relationship. I wanted the woman who had a career, or did, like, you know, learned every skill in the book and had a child, and that's it. And sometimes I'm like, was I trying to build my future there? Is like that how I see myself? So I've never met anyone that made me think I want to get married. So right now that would be dependent on that, obviously. I will say that I can tell a difference between someone like me who's like, if it happens, it happens, and someone who, like, that's what they want. They want to be in that kind of relationship. They want a home and a family. I'm definitely not that goal-oriented towards it. It's one of those things that if it happens, awesome. If it doesn't happen, I'm going to be okay. And I will admit, like, my siblings having babies, I am enjoying the ability to say, hey baby, you cute, and then give the baby back. But of course, like, if I ever have a partner like me, yeah, I probably would want one. Let's see. I'm gonna be real boring today. I'm only going to, like, a family get together, so, like, there's no need to go crazy. Alright, Tardis Pro to Go. This is a really easy palette. It's kind of dirty, sorry. But it has, like, really easy to use colors, browns, tans, mauves. So we're gonna go with that today. Alright, she asked another question. What was your own journey going through your education? What are your career goals? What's the good and bad of working in education? There's actually been a few of you that were really interested in this. I think I have a lot of teachers that follow me. Yeah, someone else named Killer Act 13 said, what topic do you teach? What made you get into teaching? What did you study in college? And I want to say some people on Instagram asked about this too. So, typical girl growing up in the 90s saw certain careers as available to her, and one of them was teaching. And I liked the idea of teaching a lot, especially after my senior year of high school. So my senior year of high school, I had taken, like, an honors English class with my teacher, and I loved it. Like, I've never loved a class that much. I enjoyed learning, I enjoyed feeling smart, and I was never someone that was, like, the top of their class, which I think is different for me than some other teachers I know who have always kind of been, like, little studiers and A+ kids. I was not that kid. I enjoyed her class so much that I ended up taking her AP English class, and that's kind of where I fell in love with literature, fell in love with like critical reading and literary analysis and things like that. And so when that happened, I thought I might want to be a high school teacher, and to be honest, like, that's what I knew high school. And so I thought that would be where I would want to end back up. I enjoyed high school, and so my plan was to be a teacher. And when I first got to college, I don't know if I had necessarily, like, the confidence to go into doing English. I thought it'd be fun to be a Spanish teacher, because in my mind, it was a fun subject to teach. So not, you know, the best reasons there. So I took one semester of Spanish and was like, nope, not for me. And you know, like, one semester of college Spanish surpassed 4 semesters of high school Spanish in like 2 months. So it was a lot. And then I started taking I like to say this story, I like to tell my students this. I failed my first writing class in college. It was a class where we like took a topic out of a hat, and I got the topic missing women in Mexico. At the time, I did not know how to be political, how to be an advocate. It's so funny because now I'm like, now I know how to approach it, but at the time I did not know how to approach it. I did not know how to be that kind of writer, thinker, etc. And I don't remember my teacher being that great. Not to say she wasn't. I was only 18, so what did I know? But I did not like the class. I was scared of it, essentially, and I just stopped going. My first semester of college was not very successful. And so I don't know if I failed it. I got a D, I think, for sure, and I failed another class, and I was really like, oh my god, I'm gonna fail out of college. And I was living with a roommate who was my best friend in high school, and we were having a falling out, which was really emotional. I just remember like being in one of those like moments of going to my dorm and just crying on the phone to my mom. Like, it was not good. And it's actually what a lot of new college students experience. And so anyways, I am telling way too much of the story. I somehow got redirected, and I had met a friend who was an English major and was really interested in all the stuff that she was doing, and decided to take a intro to literature class and really liked it, and changed my major to doing English secondary education. And so I really thought I was going to be a high school English teacher. I loved my major. I was good at it. I really enjoyed my teachers, and I thought I was going to be really successful. And then I went and did my student teaching, and so I moved home to student teach because where I went to college was in like a little mountain town, and there wasn't enough schools for all the people that wanted to do their teaching practicum. So I moved home to do it, and it went horribly. And not because of the students. My co-teacher did not like me, did not think I was skilled, did not believe in me. To be fair, she also didn't believe in her students. She talked badly about them. She taught in ways that I thought was not helpful. She was very much one of these people that's like, everything has to be in control, and if a student even dares to like stand up, then that's the end of the world. And we did not mesh. And in fact, I developed a really bad anxiety disorder during that time. Stopped sleeping. My mind could not shut off. I was not sleeping at all. Had to go on medication. And basically I had to, I got observed, and the people that were observing me from my college were saying I was doing well. And my students, I had to do a unit, like a 3-week unit by myself. My students did well in that 3-week unit. I'd like to add that my student won the county poetry competition with a poem she wrote for my unit. Like, there was all these indicators that I was successful, but my co-teacher did not think I was successful or ready to do the classroom. And she honestly, I think, would have stood in the way of me graduating, but the fact that I had to be observed by multiple people saved me, and they felt like I was fine. And I told them, I said, I've never had an issue with a teacher before, and here I am. You know, this teacher does not like me, and it's at the very end of my thing. So, long story short, I passed, got my license, but I was scared to death to teach. And it wasn't just her, it was how many lessons per week you needed. And you're teaching 3 classes, potentially multiple sections, 5 lessons a week. It was exhausting. And I just was scared of it. I felt like I needed more practice. So I went to graduate school right away. And luckily my parents allowed me to live with them while I went to graduate school. And when I was in graduate school, I don't know that I necessarily knew what I was going to go there for besides English still. But when I got there, I had a class about writing, and it was not a type of writing class I'd ever had before. It was not purely essayistic. It was not purely creative writing. It made you think about writing in a completely different way. I could go into this in like a really boring way, but basically there's so much more to writing studies than is ever taught in schools. And at my current institution, the way we teach first year writing is very in line with all that I learned, and it's introductory, but it's exciting. It's about design, it's about audience, it's about purpose. But in the past, I was taught, like, you gotta write a description essay, you need to write an argument essay. And writing doesn't exist like that out in the actual world. Like, when we go to write something, we're not pulling the 5-paragraph model. This gave me ways to view that and allowed me to study real-world writing. My master's project was on fat activist bloggers and how they construct an identity of an activist via blog posts, all right? Where we can't, like, what gets defined as activism when it's online writing? That was what I was solving. That's what I was asking. So, I know, this is probably losing a lot of you, but that's what I got really into. And so I became, at first I taught adjunct at a community college. I taught British Lit 1, poetry, creative writing, business writing, expository writing, technical writing. I taught like every course they could allow me to teach in 1 year. And that was fun, but also exhausting. And I didn't feel like I really knew all those subjects, especially creative writing. So then the next year I lucked out, truly. Someone left. I got an adjunct job at my old university teaching first year writing. Someone left right before the semester started, and I somehow bagged the full-time position to teach. And I taught there for 1-year contracts twice, and then during those 2 years I really, you know, made myself part of that community and stepped up over and over and over again and learned a lot. And so when it came time for them to have an opening that was a permanent position, a 3-year contract, it's a different kind of track than I had been on, I applied and I was able to get it. And I've been there ever since. And since then, actually the very first year that I had gotten my permanent contract, they needed an associate director for a writing center. A writing center is kind of like a student academic support center. People can go and talk to other tutors, other peers about their writing, get help on their writing. And this is from like freshman level all the way through graduate students, doctoral students, everybody. So I became associate director there, and then this past January I became the director. And that's not something I ever imagined for myself, but it happened through a series of stepping up and taking leadership opportunities and building trust with the people I work with for them to feel like I could do it. And I'm still figuring out if it's something that I want to stay with forever or even stay with long term. Being a director is different than associate director, and I've learned that in important ways. And I don't have a PhD, and if you've ever worked in a university, that does create barriers for you in certain places. So this is all stuff I'm figuring out, but I luckily have like an awesome team behind me. And I love the fact that I not only teach like new students at a university about writing, I also get to teach graduate students and undergraduates about tutoring and tutoring writing, which is teaching writing, and that's really fun for me. I like that even more than teaching writing because you're teaching people a profession, and I enjoy that. Whew, that was a lot, sorry. Okay, Kelly asked about how I develop confidence. And I will say it's been a long practice, long process. I mean, consider this. I started putting myself out there in 2010. And there were years where I put myself out there over and over again on social media or my blog or whatever that may be. And then there were a couple years I backed away. So it's something you can lose. And I did lose it for a while there. I gained confidence by having real relationships with other people who have the same values as I do. And that does mean in the plus size community. I gain confidence by trying new things and seeing that people are friendly and it works out, trying new experiences. I will admit that teaching has helped me develop social skills to do all those things. So like, I meet new people almost every day. I meet a new class who is waiting for me to lead them every semester. Once you do that over and over again, yeah, you get a little bit better at feeling like, okay, I can control this. I can meet new people. I can start a conversation. I can do all those things. As far as body confidence, it's finding what I think looks good on me and putting that out there, and obviously getting like well received helps. But I mean, if you go back, if you do decide to go look at my old blog, you'll see like I had a lot of issues. I wore a lot of shorts this summer. I remember like my first year doing blogging wearing shorts and it being incredibly hard for me. And so, you know, it's the fact of like doing it once and realizing the world doesn't fall apart, and then doing it again and realizing some good things actually happen, and doing it again and realizing you like it. And so it's kind of those kind of things. And I will say, I realize as an individual, I'm a very decisive person. I know pretty quickly what I like and don't like, and I know, and the majority of the decisions I make are based on my own impression of them. And so I realize that's not everybody. Some other people, it's much more reliant on how others receive them. I feel lucky that that's just not my personality. I'm like almost too independent in a way that can sometimes hurt me. All right, let's switch over to Instagram. I think the other questions are kind of similar to the ones I've been doing. Okay, so here's a clothing advice one. I'm gonna start doing my eyebrows now. Heather Berry Mabe asked, I'm a size 28. Where in the world can we buy winter coats that are cute and will fit for under $100? A couple places. One is Additional. And let me just say this as well. On a good sale day. Wait for a sale. Most of these sites have to have a sale at least once every couple weeks because everywhere else is just too competitive. Alright, so Additional, great. I got a couple coats that I'm hoping to show you soon. Eloquii, another good one for size 28 coats. They're expensive. They're going to go on sale and go underneath $100. If you're thinking about like actual ski type jackets, like, I mean, I'm from North Carolina. Our winter is not that cold in comparison to other places. Last year, Lane Bryant did have some like cute, like actual like snow type jackets. They were definitely over 100, but again, if you happen to get them on a 50% off day, or you can look some stuff up on Poshmark, that's what I would do personally. But I think right now my favorite jackets and coats have been Additional and Eloquii. And I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else. Yeah, I think those are my two favorites. Luis asked, your advice for bad days. Allow them to exist, and know that they are temporary. It's easier said than done. I recently had a friend who's having a really hard time, and I would say, like, in terms of like a bad day, really feeling hopeless about the bad day ever ending. And so just telling this person, oh, you won't always feel that way, isn't exactly helpful to them, because they really truly feel like it's gonna do that. I think for like that instance, manageable actions, which could include rest, which could include having a conversation with somebody, talking with somebody, watching a comfort thing. For me, that's Harry Potter. Listening to something like a podcast. I am definitely someone that likes to talk out my bad stuff. My poor mom probably has nightmares all the time because I have to tell her if anything bad ever happens. And she's just someone that, like, if you tell her that, she's gonna have dreams of us as toddlers, like, falling off something. So I share. I don't keep it to myself. That works for me. Like, it almost is comforting to know, like, I live by myself, so it's comforting for me to know that someone else knows, because I could hold myself up here and people probably wouldn't know there's something wrong except for the fact that I didn't go to work. So for me, it's sharing, letting people know what's going on, and then it's also making action choices. Like, I'm going to do this by this day and this by this day. And I will say I deal with anxiety but not high levels of depression. So if someone's depressed and having bad days, I don't know that that stuff would work for them. An update on your love life. What love life? Alright guys, here's what I struggle with. I'm gonna be honest. I've had multiple men approach me who want to take me on a date. I don't know that I'm interested. I don't know if I have the energy. I don't know why. I'm just like not interested. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't even know these men enough to like it be something about them. I just don't have interest. And I've tried to tell them that like right now I'm just not dating. I'm just not dating right now. But I don't feel like that answer is like great for them. Now granted, I don't have to date right now. That's okay. But like, I just feel like they keep asking, even though I told them that. And I think part of it is because I'm meeting them still online, and there's just like, it feels like work to have to get to know them, which is horrible, I know. It feels like work to have to get to know these people, and I don't feel like working right now. So I guess I'm gonna be lonely. I'm not actually lonely, but you know what I mean? Like, I guess it's just not gonna happen for me right now. So Facebook, if you guys didn't know, has started doing this like dating for Facebook, and I started it. I just, you know, put my stuff forward. I will say the people that are matching with me are much more like interesting to me than anyone that I've ever met, like on, not anyone I've ever met, but my recent attempts at online dating on apps. So I am curious about that, but still, even if I see someone that's like, I have no drive to go meet them. So, help. Like, it's all me. It's all me and my feelings. I think part of it is just that I feel like I have so much going on that I need to get organized, and so I don't feel like I have the time or attention to give to that. And so I'm just not putting any effort there. So nothing's gonna happen. That's my love life right now. It's pretty sad. And again, I've had multiple guys message me. I just have not had any interest, which not great. What made you start YouTubing? I started YouTubing because I watched a lot of YouTubers and really loved it. I loved the ability to like just sit down, chat, and actually get to know somebody that way. And I wanted to share my own stuff. Like, there's not a lot of YouTubers that are my size. Justin K, Laura Burns, three. And I also don't think there's a lot of YouTubers who also work full-time jobs and aren't in the fashion industry. But I think like fashion needs to be accessible to people who are working in other industries, and it's not their whole life, but it's something they enjoy. And so like I consider myself a very much everyday person who likes fashion, who likes talking about fashion, who likes connecting with other plus size women, and that made me want to do YouTube. And I felt like YouTube was a really fun way and a challenging way. Again, I work in writing. It's funny because I work in writing and I read so much all day long. The last thing I want to do is like go write at the end of the day. And so talking and sharing like this feels better to me. And video editing is fun, even though I'm not like super great at it. So when I did Fat Camp last year, I decided I've been wanting to do YouTube for months. I've been talking about it for months. Take the plunge. I took the plunge, and that's when I started in September. What is your what's your day job? I am a teacher and a director of a writing center. A lot of people said dating. I'm sorry, my answer was so sad. When did fashion start to become a passion for you? Let me do this actually first. All right, so the question is, when did fashion start to become a passion for you? For me, it's very easy to pinpoint. So, I, again, have been big all my life. And I've basically been wearing clothes I didn't like most of my life. Or like just dealing with what I could. I was happy if an Old Navy t-shirt could fit me. I would cut up my swimsuits and put bras in them. Like, I MacGyvered everything, okay? And so whenever I was graduating from college, so around age 22, I went to Charlotte to get a dress for graduation, and I went to Macy's, which is not a place I shop very often at the time. I pretty much was only shopping at like Lane Bryant and Torrid maybe at the time. And I found these dresses that I could wear for graduation, and I like loved them. I was excited by them for like the very first time. I felt cute. I felt like I was wearing something. And I also, just because of that like whole graduation, becoming, you know, an independent person, I really liked the idea of clothing being able to help me get out of my typical college outfits, which were jeans, flip-flops, and a t-shirt. And I remember being very excited by that. And that's when I started looking up stuff online. That's whenever I found bloggers. This is back in 2010. This is when I found other people blogging about this. I found Gabby Fresh. There's some French bloggers that were really important to me when I first started. There were a lot of people that are important to me that started me off that no longer blog anymore. One being a friend named Nicole. And it excited me. All these girls at the time, this blogging was like very communal. Everyone had links to each other's blogs. You could go kind of see who's friends with who. You could go visit other people and they'd be linking back and forth. They'd be doing challenges together. It was very community based, and so I got to know them as friends. I started joining it. I started doing the challenges with them. Fashion became a way to connect to other women. Fashion became a way to kind of figure out my own style, expressive, like how I wanted to express myself. And it became just fun. And that's when fashion became more than just clothing on my body. And thank God for it, honestly. It's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. Alright, some more questions about work. Has your vision for your channel changed at all since starting it? Yes and no. So what I said earlier about wanting to still speak to people who, you know, they weren't in the fashion industry. They're not looking for like high-end fashion, looking for everyday like useful stuff for people that have jobs and things like that. It still exists for me as something I want to do. I really would like at some point to get more into discussing topics. The problem is filming it and figuring out ways that are engaging to film it, because me and Laura did that one video of us talking, and I just don't know if like 2 talking heads is like interesting to you guys. But I have so many people in my life who I have these like really rich conversations with, and I would like to be able to do it on camera. Whether it's the women I've met through Fat Camp or something like that, or my family members. I would like to do more of that kind of stuff in addition to what I'm doing currently. And I would like to continue to work with companies that I am interested in and believe in. And besides that, like, I'm still growing. I'm still working on consistency. So that's really kind of like my goal still. I still want to speak to the same people I wanted to speak to. I still am the same kind of person that I want to represent and show on my channel. How do you balance work, friends, and health? Not well. Not well. In fact, that's why I think sometimes I don't do dating, is because I feel like my plate is full. And to add one more person that I need to attend to feels like too much. I tend to always have an imbalance, and work tends to take up the majority of it. That's something, again, like as I moved into this new role, that I'm really trying to figure out, because you know, I've been doing this for 5-6 years, so I keep wanting my career to be like this huge thing, and yes, I do, but like, okay, so something like in the university, it's not to say I don't get paid better because I'm doing this director role. I do, but I don't get paid like that much better. I could go back to just being a teacher and get paid only a little bit less, and that sometimes appeals to me. And so it's kind of like figuring out, because again, I don't have a PhD. I can only go so far in terms of making money where I'm at. And I'm not sure I really want to get a PhD. Job market's not hot for PhDs right now. I mean, I work with a lot of people who have PhD who make only a little bit more than I make. So, you know, I'm still figuring that stuff out. Work takes up a lot of my time. And I live kind of far away from my friends, so I don't see them as often as I would like. But I am thinking about moving closer to Charlotte, and that would take care of that issue. But health balance, health has been low on the balance scale for a little bit now. In terms of like, I would like to get better about meal prepping and cooking and getting my stuff together before the week starts. Okay, I think I got all of them. So, not exactly the most interesting get ready with me. I'm gonna try this mellow lip color in the color Terran. And yeah. I think one of the things that, like, before I started blogging, I always thought was that, like, I didn't, and this is something that, like, my students always say, and I'm like, we're gonna learn that this isn't true. I used to not think there was anything interesting about me, and I used to think that my interests weren't interesting. Like, the things that I thought and spent my time about, like, weren't interesting. And now I just know, like, everything is interesting to somebody. And so I just now know and value the stuff that I pay attention to and like, other people probably also like. And so, like, right now, like, headbands. I'm gonna do a headband haul because I like headbands, and there's surely someone else out there who also like headbands. But I would have never thought that before. I've been like, oh, I'm so stupid for liking headbands. Because it was just that self-doubt mentality. That's been the biggest change in my mind, is that anything I like, there's someone else out there likes it, that's talking about it, that's interested in it. And so I can go join them wherever they are and figure that out. I forgot the last one. There was someone that asked me about, like, books I'm reading, shows I like, podcasts I like, and I've actually had a couple people ask me about this, so I better not forget it. So, podcasts. Okay, I live by myself. I watch crappy TV, so I like podcasts because they can talk about the crappy TV I watch, and it's like being with friends, listening to the crappy TV shows. So, favorite podcasts are Watch What Crappens. They are a comedy podcast that recaps Bravo TV shows. I don't watch a lot of the Real Housewives shows. I actually mostly just like Real Housewives of New York, but I love Below Deck, which they do, Southern Charm, which they do. So I actually just saw them in person this past week. They are amazing and funny. The first time you listen to them, you're like, what is going on? But trust in the process. They're amazing. I also listen to Rob Has a Podcast because I like Survivor and I like Big Brother, and so I listen to a lot of them. Someone at Fat Camp, Danielle, she recommended that I listen to Why Won't You Date Me by Nicole Byer. I've just started listening to that. I haven't, like, fully onboarded yet, but that's another one. I had been listening to a bunch of Game of Thrones podcasts when Game of Thrones was airing. That's Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. Fat Girls Club podcast, that's Jessica Torres and Liesl Binks. They're both hilarious. Highly recommend. And if you want to, like, go back into, like, the history, Bad Fat Broads, they haven't published anything since 2018, but I enjoyed their content. And so I watch a lot of, like, TV show related podcasts. I used to listen to what's the Murderino one? I keep wanting to stay sexy and don't get murdered. My favorite murder. I used to watch this and that, and I used to listen to other crime podcasts, and I go in waves with that because I will creep myself out. But now that we're getting to October, I kind of want to listen to, like, some spooky ghost story podcasts. So if you have some recommendations, let me know. As far as TV show goes, again, I like crappy TV. I've been watching Big Brother all summer long. I watch a lot of YouTube. If you go look at my subscribers list, that's the people I'm watching. I have been re-listening to the Harry Potter books. I basically just re-listened to them on a loop. But I also read the second Crazy Rich Asians book, which I forget what it's called. It was okay. I like that they have like multiple characters and multiple storylines, but you do lose some depth, and some of the characters, like their reasons for doing things was just mind-boggling to me, and like some people were just like, oh, whatever, it's okay, about things that like I would never be okay with. So it was hard for me to read and like relate to, but maybe I'm someone that's like, I don't know, not so go with the flow. I'm trying to look and see if there's any other ones. I just downloaded one. I read something about this one's kind of like the new book for people that like Harry Potter. I downloaded Harley Merlin and the Secret, what's the last one? Secret Coven. I have just started it. I haven't listened to much of it. And I also downloaded Outlander, and I have yet to listen to it because I know it's like, it's a big one. Once you get in it, you gotta stay in it, and I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. And then I also really like biography type books. One of my favorite is The Vanderbilts by Jerry E. Patterson. I pretty much, by the way, I do audiobook for like everything Audible. I listen to so many audiobooks because, again, I spend all day teaching, reading, and writing, and I don't want to look at words anymore end of the day. That's so sad, but it's the truth. What else did I look at? I've looked at some like, I've listened to all of the Game of Thrones books. Fortune's Children, The Fall of the Vanderbilts. I got like on a really big, you know, I went really deep into the Vanderbilts. It was fascinating. I mean, they owned full blocks, like their buildings, their homes were full blocks in New York City. Super rich people, and it was interesting to hear what they did with their money and all that stuff. Listen to Dumplin'. So those are some of the books I've liked. Some books I tried were The Magicians. I didn't get into it. Some Rainbow Rowell stuff, which I know a lot of people love, but I just didn't get very into it. So yeah, so I listen to audiobooks all the time, but I'll admit I listen to Harry Potter audiobooks on repeat, and there's still sometimes where I pick up new details, but it's a comfort thing. It's a listen to it before bed. It's helping me go to sleep. It's a comfort thing. So anyways, I am gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching. This Get Ready With Me was like nothing too interesting happening here, but I hope you got to know me better, and I would love to get to know you in the comments, and feel free to follow me on Instagram. That's where I have a lot of conversations with you guys in my DMs, or just back and forth following each other's pictures. So please do follow me over there, and subscribe if you would like to. Thank you so much for all of you that have made this first year on YouTube so much fun and so worthwhile. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you later. Bye.